Hello everyone, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I will be completely honest right now, I have had a cold for the last week, so there are no adventures happening and there has not been an adventure happening. So today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why I chose a Suburban as my overlanding vehicle. Because, you might look out at the overlanding community and I would assume a Suburban is not what first comes to your mind, but there are so many reasons why it should come to your mind, starting with affordability, low costs of maintenance, of course, the reliability of what a Suburban brings to the table, and yeah, there's a few other reasons I'm going to get into, and size does matter. Let's just say it. It matters. All right, let's talk about why I love my SUBOVERLAND. So just to kind of start and give you guys a little bit of a background, my family is huge car people. Not me specifically, but my dad and my two brothers all work in the vehicle industry in some capacity. My dad is a mechanic through and through. That's what he's been doing since he was 20 and he just turned 60. My dad has always been a GM person. It's kind of funny how the world all works out, and here I am with a Suburban. My mom drove a big Suburban when we were all kids and would lug us all around in it, and actually the first time I ever learned how to change a tire was on a Chevy Suburban. So again, it's quite full circle. I do kind of see a Suburban as my comfort vehicle. It reminds me of home, and I know I'm going to be safe in it because my dad always told me a Suburban's a great vehicle, and now we're learning from Grady that they really are great and so reliable. The one I am driving actually has over 300,000 miles, yet here it is today. It has the original engine in it, but it does have a new transmission, and that's just kind of part of the maintenance to keep them going. If you want to drive, a 90s Suburban for the next 10 years, you can. You just need to do maintenance here and there. And I've heard Grady talk about it before, and then knowing my dad, a lot of mechanics are very willing to work on Suburbans. I definitely have never heard of someone being turned away because they had an old Suburban. That's something that mechanics know how to work on. They are familiar with what's in it, what needs to come out, what needs to get replaced. And I think that's one huge perk of having a Suburban, because your maintenance guy in your local shop is probably going to be excited when you bring it into him. Now, continuing on a little bit of background, I only really drove small vehicles growing up. My first vehicle was a 96 Bonneville, and the next vehicle that I got, my dad and I got it together and repaired it after it had been totaled, was a Pontiac G5. And when I moved out to Idaho, I got myself a Subaru. So as you can kind of see, these are all quite small vehicles. My Subaru's a Crosstrek, so it's a pretty small one. So getting the Suburban was quite an adjustment. Of course, it is a much bigger vehicle than those small vehicles, especially compared to my little G5. However, I thought it would be worse. I thought it would be harder to adjust to a big vehicle, but I kind of have realized it is a big vehicle. It's a van, but it's not a Sprinter van, and it's not a bus. It's not a boat, it's not like I'm taking up 2 parking spots or anything like that. I actually don't even really notice now how big it is compared to driving my other vehicles, because I really adjusted to it quickly. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to include that because I was very intimidated right away with how big it was. And I even said to my husband, I'm going to be driving a boat around. And really, that's not the case at all. It's not that huge. It is big, and I actually just love the space now. If you think about it, an original Suburban can fit like 8 or 9 people. So of course it's a larger vehicle, and now it can fit a bed and all of my camping supplies and a stove and a fridge, plus a couple people and my dogs. So, it really is worth it to have that size. And that's why I say size does matter. Especially when it comes to the clearance and the really nice tires that are on the Suburban. I do not feel scared at all when I'm driving over rocks, just because I know how high quality the vehicle was built according to Grady's standards, and it truly is a trusting overland vehicle. I'm not going to be taking it, on anything too crazy, like For example, I just went to White Pocket last weekend in Arizona, which is quite a sandy place. I do think the SUBOVERLAND could have made it. However, I didn't take it because of how heavy it is. I was a little afraid it'd be sinking in. So in like that instance, maybe the Suburban isn't the right choice for a crazy overlanding trail. But for everything else I've been doing it for, it's been navigating great. I actually took it down, I would believe it's about a 40% grade down the canyon, handled just fine over really crazy slick rocks. I've also taken it out in lava fields and it is maneuvered great. I just wanted a comfortable big vehicle that I could camp in, that I would feel safe while driving in and doing mild overlanding with. And then of course, as you guys know, it does drive in all-wheel drive when I'm on the highway or driving through town, you know, basically anywhere except for these overlanding roads. And then it does shift into four-wheel drive whenever you need it to, for high or for low. And I've been slowly but surely practicing with that. And I did actually have it on a little bit of dirt mud and I put it into four low and I did feel it really grab on that traction and drive right out of it despite the weight of it. It did not sink into the mud or anything. We got out just fine. So yeah, I'm excited to take it and test it into even more places. But just kind of a privy of, it's not necessarily meant to do crazy overlanding like a Jeep would do, for example, but it is meant to do some good off-roading and get you to those really fun places so you can car camp under the stars without all the humans around because you got off the main road. Another reason it's just worth bringing up is the price points. You can get a base used Suburban for, you know, anywhere from like $8,000 to $10,000, which is pretty affordable when we look at what the used vehicle marketplace is going for right now. You know, with the fridge build out, the bed build out, the solar panels added, the battery in there, and the light installed, everything, the fan, you're looking at about $20,000 for one of the vehicles at SUBOVERLAND, which is really affordable, especially when you consider it can kind of be your home for the weekend or the summer or the year, you know, wherever you're headed, you could really live out of that thing. And that compared to a Sprinter van where the base model is probably coming in at about $60,000, and that's not including all of those added features. Okay, so one of the biggest reasons that a Suburban is such a great vehicle is its reliability. It's actually amazing to see the vehicles that Grady has worked on. Some of them are from the 90s, but most of the ones like early 2000s and stuff, they are running just so great. And it's incredible to see the longevity of those vehicles. You see old Suburbans on the road every day. Now I notice it more than ever. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that old Suburban, and it's just trucking along. Now, this is totally opinion based, so feel free to disagree with me. I am happy to hear all of the feedback. But my other thought on why it's beneficial to have a Suburban as your overlanding / car camping / van life vehicle is you're a little bit less of a target. Specifically speaking, maybe as a solo female, I kind of look at things potentially a little differently than a man does. A big, you know, Sprinter van that looks brand new and potentially built out and has solar panels on the top. Someone might come and break into that van because they're thinking, oh, this person has money. They're living in this van. I bet their computer's in there, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Not to say that the Suburban with solar panels don't also potentially look like I'm living in it, but is someone gonna target me? Maybe not, because they know my vehicle costs about $8,000, you know, the base model. So that's just one thought I have. Another thought was that as a solo female, I do like sleeping inside my vehicle rather than outside in a tent. I've taken my Subaru a ton of places with me, and I will just pitch my tent kind of right next to it. But how lovely to be able to lock the Suburban's doors and just sleep inside. Again, as a solo female traveler, sometimes it just gives me a little bit of peace of mind knowing that I'm locked in and no one can just unzip my tent and come in with me. And that kind of goes with, I have a pop-up tent as well. And I'm going to make another video for you guys explaining why I choose car camping over my pop-up tent camping, which sometimes there's no science behind it, but you know. Anyway, I do just feel really safe in my Suburban. Also when driving, I always felt a little vulnerable in my little Pontiac G5, and which I ended up hitting a deer and it totaled my car. Being in the Suburban, not that I want to get in an accident, but if I were to get in an accident, I just feel really safe and protected with that huge big frame. I do feel really confident when I'm driving it, and that's something to note, because when you're driving long distances and when you're alone, it can be nice to know that if you were in an accident, that car might be able to drive you back home rather than having to get towed because of how big its size is. So just a couple little food for thoughts. Maybe some things I say are totally wrong and you disagree with me, but just coming from my perspective, that is where I'm at. So thank you guys so much for watching today. I'm going to continue to do these little chatty videos and just kind of spark some conversation of what you think. And if you believe that a Suburban is a great overlanding vehicle, it's just not really talked about a ton. Everyone always just goes, oh yeah, that Jeep and the 4Runner, that's great too. But you know, I'm here to stand up for the Suburbans of the world and say, you are a great vehicle too. So anyway, if you are looking for a vehicle that goes the distance, is reliable, and is going to treat you right, I highly recommend looking into SUBOVERLAND. They're awesome. Grady's awesome. He's done such a fantastic job taking care of the amazing vehicles that he finds and builds out for other people. I see everyone's comments on how happy they are with their SUBOVERLAND that has been made, you know, in the past few years by Grady, and it's really cool to be a part of this community. And thank you all for welcoming me. I really appreciate being a female in this very male-dominated space, and I can't wait to keep learning from you all, learning from Grady, learning from my experiences. I'm just really excited to enter this next season because it's about to get so beautiful in southern Idaho where I'm located, and I'm going to be exploring all around Idaho, into Utah again more, and I can't wait to take you guys along on the journey and continue to learn and just get out there and go adventure.